Welcome to Bay Rats and Buoys with your host, Captain Gaige.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. I'm your host, Captain Gaige, with first mate Kory, and this is episode number 10. I can't believe that 10 episodes are in the books. I mean, I'm getting emails and all these great statistics and these amazing things. Keep it going. Things are really happening. And I'm just trying to stay consistent. You know what I mean? It's like I just put one out every week. Every Thursday we put one out. It's Wednesday, December 4th. We're getting it done today. I'm in the studio. I told you guys every Wednesday. This week we pulled the boat out of the water. So we are officially done and closing down the 2024 boating season here in the Northeast on the North Shore of Long Island. So we had an epic year, both you and I, as far as the charters were concerned and just fishing in general. And why don't you go ahead and tell everybody basically, you know, how we met. It was more than a few years ago. It was going back like 4 or 5 years ago.
Something like that,
and tell them how we met. And,
well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure being on. I can't tell you the amount of times that I've heard people saying good things about our podcast, people who listen about our podcast, whether it's at the fuel dock, at the deli, local people, not local people. I hear it all the time.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. It really is. The comments that we get online and the people that we talk to at the fuel dock, like you said, are the positive feedback is just so cool. And we don't care, you know, if you get non-positive feedback, it's criticism and critiquing too. No. I take it all. I really don't care. You know, we're in all the Facebook
That's how you
groups.
learn.
You're in all the groups with hundreds of thousands of people. You're going to get your haters out there too. But in the meantime,
of course.
That never would bother me. We do get amazing feedback, and we're giving away free podcast stickers to everybody, guys. If you want to head on over to sandcitycharter.com, every week I'm sending out 50 to 100 of these things. The YouTube channel is blowing up. We're almost at 9. I think we're at 900 and something subscribers organically because of what we're doing with Bay Rats and Buoys. So it's really starting to get its wheels. It's getting its growth. It's going, and it's happening organically. I'm not forcing it and, paying to have, ads everywhere and going crazy. We're letting it happen organically, and it is.
Right.
And that's the cool part about it. And like I said, guys, it's unscripted and it's totally raw. So there's no teleprompter. Me and Kory are sitting in the studio today. Thank God we don't have any wind blowing on us and the crazy like I've been dealing with.
It's not freezing. We're not freezing our ass off.
Oh, my God. Forget about it. We got one GoPro here recording, and I'll throw some B-roll in for the stuff that we're talking about. Every week I'm trying to do a little more editing because I don't have to edit the actual podcast. It's an audio track and it's a video track, and boom, it goes up, and it's as simple as that. But because we'll talk about certain things, I'll be able to throw up the B-roll, of certain,
birds
fish
working,
that you caught and all the
certain pictures.
The goddamn cormorant that bit me in the hand because you had to frickin',
I had to cast into the birds.
Cast into the birds. And, you cast into the birds is one thing. Getting a gull is, that's very common. It happens to people.
Right.
I don't know. I've been fishing a very long time, and I've never had a cormorant ever. I've got a few gulls. You see it all the time. It happens,
yeah.
But you got it with your line, so at least you didn't get a hook in them.
Right. Oddly enough, I've never caught a gull. I've had a osprey hit one of my spooks one time, which was a terrible experience trying to get it out of him. But this cormorant flew right into my line.
Yeah, you see it in the video too. You'll hear me scream and say, he bit me, fucker bit me. And it didn't hurt, but at the same time, we were trying to get the line unwrapped around. He had already cut in the lure off, so
it was already easy enough.
We didn't have to worry about a hook. It was really just doing the right thing
by the line.
The bird.
And unravel
his beak, and I didn't want to grab his face because I didn't want to traumatize the thing. I really just wanted to get I wasn't afraid of him biting me.
No.
It wasn't. I just wanted to get the line off his wing, and it went pretty quickly. It was pretty smooth. So that was a very interesting experience to close out the season. That was like 2 weeks ago. That happened, maybe 3.
Something like that.
But yeah, so tell them how we met.
Yes. So for those who don't know, me and Gaige have been fishing for quite some time, coming up to close to 5 years, I want to say.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But we actually met through a fishing group.
Yeah, so we text with Tommy and Dan and Steven. We're in a text group, and I got introduced to Kory that way, and we were fishing. We were fly fishing in the back.
Yeah, we were fly fishing in the back of Crab Meadow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. And at the time when I was fishing there, I didn't know that Gaige was there. I was fishing there with Tommy. I see Tommy go up to Gaige and say hi to him. No idea who it is. Tommy didn't introduce us.
Right.
He had no clue who it was. All of a sudden, Gaige comes up to me, shows me a picture of me mid-cast, mid-fly cast, have that line all spayed out.
Oh yeah, you were standing on top of the brush.
Right on top in the middle.
Water.
Yep. One of the coolest pictures I've got by far ever.
That's just the coolest picture for anybody that fly fishes, just because the line is all the way back, it's fully extended, the inertia, and you're launching it forward.
Yeah, you see it all wrapped around like it's part of a movie or something.
Yeah.
And since that day, really, we've been fishing pretty much nonstop together.
Oh yeah, 100%. And that's when you started to mate for the boat too, which was great. So it was a cool group to be in for sure.
Oh yeah.
Because of the intel that we get and that we all share locally. Everybody fishes, almost every day. Like they're out there every day.
Whether it be North Shore or South Shore.
Steven's on the South Shore, which we all fish the South Shore. We would drive at that time. Me, Steven, and Dan were driving on the beaches, catching sharks.
Yeah.
We were hitting Demo. We were hitting Gilgo. We were hitting Smiths. We were hitting Shinny. So we
Jones.
fished. Yeah. Let me tell you, when we walk out to the breach, I mean, that's no joke. That walk is literally, every time you're halfway through that walk, you're saying to yourself, I'm buying an electric bike. I'm buying the electric bike. You're saying to yourself.
It's a long walk.
It's a long walk. But
especially with all the waders and the gear and this and that. It's a workout.
You get out there and it's changed. The storms have changed it. So it's not the same as when I was there fishing 4 years ago. It was epic. The bluefish were insane. In fact, I'm in the magazine, all dressed up. I got my Van Staal and my ODM rod, and I'm in the water. I got waves breaking over both sides of me. It was pretty crazy. And we're catching monster, gator blues, just a ton of fun on SP minnows and just throwing out into the, and we did a lot of beach fishing. So that was really, I'd have to attribute that spot actually to Kenny and Joe. They call Little Joe, and him, he works over at J&H.
Yep.
And so really that's when I went to the breach because of those guys. And then I started going back. But, we fished Gilgo with Steven and Democratic Point and Shinny. Me and Dan drove to Shinny. So taking my truck on the beach, those were epic summers. There was no more fun. We had a ton of fun catching the sharks. And wait till you guys tune into the shark episode for Bay Rats and Buoys, because it is going to be lights out. I'm going to show you, how I put the tape around my thumb to keep the line taut so I could fly the drone out on a Penn Senator reel that was, the old Jaws reel to catch some 8.5-foot sharks and stingrays and some really cool stuff. So we're in a cool group. We're in guys. Steven's a great fisherman. He's fishing all the time. Dan, I met Dan in the back of Scudder. This is, I think, before I met you, and it is.
Yes,
Dan,
before you met me.
I was doing the fishing report for the Fisherman magazine for their Jones Beach report. And I was doing the report that day. I didn't have time to run to the South Shore, and I was doing it from Scudder, the back of Scudder. And Dan was coming out of the water with his kayak. And he came over to me, and he's like, oh, dude, he's like, I see the reports. I know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. He introduces himself. And I said, oh, bro, I got a kayak too, man. Maybe, we'll show you around back there. I fished Bird Island, for the last few years before this, working for Freedom Boat Club at Britannia Yacht Club. I'd go out every morning before work, and for 2 hours in the morning before I even got to work, I fished. And, with a half-ounce bucktail, and got out there, I found the bass. There was tons of them. I'd catch 5-6 bass before I went to work. A nice-sized bass back there, too. Not just schoolies.
Some decent ones to go back there.
Yeah. So Dan, there's people don't realize there's a lot less salinity back there because of the fresh water that comes in. So if you ever find areas like that, guys, where you're going to have fresh water meets the salt water, the bass love that. They love the little less salinity back there. I know they do.
Funny enough, I've heard stories of people actually catching small cobia back there as well, which is a little weird for the North Shore. But I have seen pictures. Yeah,
I've caught my biggest, strangest bycatch back there while I was bass fishing was the Spanish mackerel and weakfish. So that was crazy to get those back there. You're in the back of the year at the end of the harbor.
You're at the end of the world.
Yeah, that's it. It's 20 minutes to the bay from there.
Oh yeah, easily
so
20
fish
minutes
come
out.
all the way into the back, and why are they coming back there? They're coming back because of the bait,
Right?
And coming back to feed. So that's where I met Dan, and so we hit it off. And we kayaked together. I mean, me and Dan went on some awesome kayak trips. I recently, in the last year or two, sold my kayak to a kid in Northport, in the town I grew up in. And it was cool to let it go. And, I'm not going to be using it anymore. It's a pedal, 12-foot Pescador Pilot. It was an awesome kayak. And me and Dan, we kayaked to Long Island Sound. We went all the way out to Target Rock from Gold Star Beach, and we went some good
distances. That's a far
pedal.
pedal.
Yeah, it's definitely a far pedal.
A lot of current going through there too.
Yeah, so that that I remember meeting Dan in the group, and I met you after Dan. You and Tommy came after Dan, and I think it was Dan that probably brought us all together because you were friends with Tommy. I was friends with Dan, and Dan and Tommy were together. So I think that's how it all came together. And Steven is related to Tommy.
Steven and Tommy are related.
That's how that whole group came together. And I mean, me and you have been. I tell everybody in all my episodes, I always talk about First Mate Kory. We're a well-oiled machine, and whatever I'm thinking, he's doing, and we're like frickin' frack out there, with two guys. We literally are Bay Rats. So if you want to look up Bay Rat, the definition in the dictionary, it's going to say Captain Kory and First Mate. Captain Gaige and First Mate Kory. I just switched the roles. So I don't know. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe, I wouldn't blame you for stepping up and being a captain too. It's awesome. I love it. And, we've learned a lot together, working together out there. It's epic.
Definitely an awesome time being out on the water, and especially working with you, Gaige. The amount of knowledge that I've learned from you and the things you've taught me on the water, even now I've been fishing for 18 years, but even then, there's always new stuff you could learn from somebody else. Constantly.
100%. That's one of the things I appreciate. I even tell you people in the podcast, I'm not a know-it-all by any stretch of the imagination. I started spearfishing this year, and I'm like a sponge. I want to learn everything, and I want to do it the right way. If you want to take me snowboarding, I'm going to take a lesson with a 20-year-old kid. Why? Because he knows the best technique and how to set my bindings for what I want to do. And don't get out there and pretend you know it all, because you don't. So I'm not that guy. I don't like to know it all. I like to learn new stuff. And me and you both, I think that's why we definitely hit it off, because we both love getting out there and learning new techniques, how to use the flutter spoons, how to use the vibes, how to use different equipment that we use. We're not afraid to try.
Even getting out there and throwing flies, like poppers, flies, things like that.
Oh, yeah,
with the casting eggs.
You name it, we use it. We try it all.
Right.
There's nothing we don't do. We use the slow pitch jigs. I mean, how many of those do we have? I mean,
oh my God. Who would have ever thought of using a slow pitch jig, something you use down in Florida for wreckfish or amberjack? Who would have thought that would work for bass?
Right.
Right. And the past couple of years we've tried it, and it works incredibly well, especially in high current environments like the Triangle where we do fish. There's a strong current there. It rips. Yeah. So a flutter spoon's just gonna go and just be taken with the current, whereas slow pitch jig is gonna get down there quicker and get right into the fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And but that's credit to us, because we're willing to try different things. Right. We're never, when it's lights out fishing, we're putting on things.
It doesn't matter.
We'll put a shoe with a hook on it and try to get it down there. And I'm kidding. I've never done that, but maybe I should try that. It might, I did catch a Coke bottle this year on a flutter spoon.
That's right. We caught a fluke too on a flutter spoon.
Yeah. We caught a lot of different fish on a lot of lures that you wouldn't think that that fish would go after. It was a bycatch. And speaking of bycatch, we were fluke fishing. And we were on the halfway shelf. We were over in the Ashroken area, over by the stacks. And I remember we were fishing closer to the beach that day. We were in the shallower water because it was early in the season. And we saw a couple of birds working. And this is something that me and you we're getting good at this. And this happens to us a lot. and we saw the birds, and I said, oh, look, there's just like 3, 4, 5 birds. Let's shoot over there, pull up the bottom fishing for a few minutes. Let's go over there and tell them what happened. Tell them what you did.
Yeah, we were like Gaige was saying, we were bottom fishing for fluke at the halfway shelf. We pull it up. I grabbed the first lure out of my bag. It was a small jerkbait, I think like a 4-inch jerkbait or something like that, on my fluke setup, which was, I don't remember exactly which reel. It was a size 3000 reel with 20-pound braid and I think 15-pound fluorocarbon on the leader. I cast it out. I didn't even have enough time to reel in the slack before a bass comes up and eats it. Now,
he annihilated that
thing. He swallowed it, but not in the way that you would think. He was never hooked.
Wait till you see the picture.
Yeah, he's going to put the picture up here shortly. But it was just lodged in its mouth, not hooked, just stuck there like out of a cartoon.
Yeah, if we didn't take a picture of it, you would have no reason to believe us. And
right.
I say that all the time. I believe none of what I hear and half of what I see. And because I'm going to show you the picture, we didn't stick this in the fish's mouth like a toothpick holding his mouth open. This is how the fish was landed.
Yeah.
And when we got him up on deck and we took a picture of it, and when we put the fish down, boop,
it already came out.
It came right out.
If I fought that fish any differently, we would have never seen.
No, if anybody else had hooked into it, they would have right away tried to set the hook or do something. They would have pulled it right out of its mouth. You played that fish perfectly. It was released. It was a big fish.
Yeah, it was
at that season.
30. Early season. It was 38 inches or something like that.
That was your personal best.
That was my best at that time.
That was your personal best bass.
Yes.
Which has happened to you every single year.
Every year.
You keep outdoing your personal best.
I wouldn't be outdoing and getting a new PB every year if it wasn't for you, Gaige.
Well,
it really.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know the fish better than anybody else I know.
I appreciate that.
I'm surprised you don't have them on speed dial.
Well, I do. I do have the fish on speed dial. I know where the bait is. I know where the fish is. And that's credit to knowing the area. So like I said, guys, being a Bay Rat is somebody that really knows their local area. I know a lot of other areas, but my area, I know it like the back of my hand. And this year, same thing.
Yep.
So after me and Kory go out before charters, we go out after charters, and if there is no charter, we're out fishing all day. And we go everywhere. We don't just fish our area. We fish everywhere, and that's what I love about us. We're not afraid to go anywhere. We don't care what the conditions are. We
don't care to get skunked. We just want to go and try something new and get on new fish.
Absolutely.
Find new areas.
This year was unbelievable. It really was, but there were no bunker. There were not big giant pods of bunker like years prior, okay, early in the season.
There were a couple pods, but nothing crazy.
Nothing crazy. And the one day that we got out there, the bunker were doing something almost abnormal to what you see. We see them come out. You see them boil. You see them splash. They were shooting 2-3 feet out of the water, straight up in the air, and it was just unusual.
Yeah. No, this year was definitely a little weird.
And so what happened this year when you threw into it with topwater action again?
Same thing. So this year, like Gaige is saying, we didn't see pods going crazy. A singular bunker here, a single bunker there, just jumping out of the water, and you'd see a small boil here and another one there, and you'd hear the splash.
They were so sporadic. If you could have chased them around, you would have been all over the place.
Right. They 100%. They were so far apart from each other, you couldn't cast from one spot to the other. That's how far apart they were. We decided to sit, wait it out.
That's it. Sit in the middle of it all and shut the boat off.
Yep. That's exactly what we did. We saw a splash. I casted it out. And I'm not even paying attention to my lure.
Because you're looking around for more sporadic movement.
Right. My head's on a swivel. I'm trying to hear if I hear a splash or see something. Meanwhile, I'm working my lure back in, my popper back in.
And I got the GoPro going, as always. And I got it in my hand. I'm actually holding it and videotaping him retrieving his lure. So the whole thing that he's telling you was caught on video.
All of it. From the cast till the fish is in the boat is all on video. And you could hear in the video Gaige saying, it's on you, it's on you, it's on you, it's following your lure. I'm oblivious. Gaige tells me to stop it, just to pause for a second. I pause, and boom, instantly hooks up, takes, how much line did he take? 30, 40 yards the line instantly?
You had the Stratic on that day.
Yes,
so
I had the Stratic on that.
Multicolor.
Yep.
And he peeled you down to where you had never seen those colors before.
Yeah, those colors are brand new. Typically, after a while, the braid,
You're right, they're a little faded.
they fade, lose color, but this went so far back where those colors are brand new that even afterwards, I saw the color peeling on my fingers.
Right.
That's how much line it pulled out.
We see it. It's getting peeled off. The video is peel and drag. And the reaction to you when we netted the fish, I mean, I netted them with one hand, still videotaping it. And, again, it was top water. It's got a hook in its mouth, and you don't want to lose that fish.
Yeah, it was on a single, too. It wasn't on a treble. It had a single hook right in the corner of the mouth. And as soon as we got in the boat, that hook came right out.
Yeah, they always do. They always do. If you don't play these fish correctly to get them back to the boat and know how to do it, you're going to drop. That was a trophy fish. You actually thought you had the biggest fish.
I did have the biggest fish for a while.
You did. You thought
44
you
inches.
had the season one. You were like,
I thought so.
So at the end of the day, what was the?
It was a 44-inch striped bass. It was a fat one, too.
Yeah, it was fat. It definitely was fat. It was on the heavier side of a 44, but at that time, we did not have. I think it was because of that fish. I bought the digital scale.
You bought it the next day
to put it on. So when I don't like to use a boga grip, guys, and I talk about that in all my things. I don't like to hang fish vertically. So we bought a really cool scale, a digital scale to put it on, and we have a board that you put the fish on because when you got a 44-inch bass, it's going to flop off the scale. You don't want it hitting the deck. It's got to stay suspended up so you get the weight of it. And yours was 44 inches.
Yep.
Okay.
It's my biggest one today.
The one that we got with Steven and Jack, Steve came back out on a second charter, and he brought his neighbor and his two sons, and he caught a 48-inch, 47-pound, 6-inch bass. And, I mean, you got to see this fish. This fish was massive. And again, listen, guys in our area catch 50-pound bass. It happens. They're around. They're around. They're here. Jacob says he sees 60-pound bass when he's free. I can't wait to see them when I go free diving with him.
Oh, it's going to be as big as me.
He saw bass on my first free diving trip. I didn't get down and see any bass. And that was basically because of equipment. I didn't feel comfortable going down where they were going down. I needed a few more things. I wasn't set up correctly, but set up for the basics to do what I was doing, to learn and to be there and to get in the water and do it. But nothing better than Block Island. Block Island is like the mecca of spearfishing. And one of the guys in my marina was showing me a video of him getting down to everything was a 30 and 40-pound bass, where they were trying to shoot the runt of the litter, that they didn't even shoot at anything because all the bass were so big. And that's Block Island.
That's Block Island for you.
That's Block Island for you, exactly. So I can't wait to get involved and do those trips as well, because what I did locally, which me and you are going to do, you're going to get into it as well. You have no choice.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start in the springtime. We'll start in May. We'll go out and do some fluke fishing and see if we can get on some winter flounder.
Ooh.
Even if we could just in the shallow water,
just to see them,
to snorkel around and look for them in the spearfishing stuff where we get down and just see if we can get a couple of those.
Nothing fancy, nice and easy, 10, 15 feet of water.
Absolutely. So we had some epic fish, and again, topwater action every year. Just paying attention to our surroundings has really helped us land what we like to call trophy fish. Because this guy came into my office today, into the studio to record, and he's never caught a striped bass in his life. He boated out of Mauritius. He's caught a ton of fluke. He's done this, and he's never caught a striped bass. So we had a lot of first-time people on our boat this year that had never caught a striped bass.
Right. We also had a couple people who have been fishing for years who never caught a striped bass.
That's what I mean. So, we don't realize how spoiled we are that we talk about catching 48-inch fish and 47-pound bass. To us, that's kind of like a regular. It's like, okay, we're used to that. But for everybody else, that's a trophy fish.
100%.
100%. So let's get into a little bit about, because you do something very unique besides being a first mate on Sand City Charter. You also have Kory's Kustoms, and you have the Deadly Dinghy, which is on the Instagram channel.
That's right.
So you have some cool stuff. Why don't you tell people, now that you're on the podcast, let them know what Kory's Kustoms is and basically what you do.
Yeah, so Kory's Kustoms is a little business that I started about a year and a half ago. Now, what I do is make custom equipment for boaters, whatever it may be. I'll take whatever you want, whatever you can't buy in a store, and I will fabricate it for you, whether it be gaffs, dehookers, bait nets, dock poles, anything you could think of, custom deck brushes. I even had somebody ask for a almost like an extended boga grip, but for releasing fish, where you don't have to hang off the side of the boat.
Right.
In order to revive a striped bass, you put it in the mouth, you hang the whole stick over the side of the boat, you pull a little string, you pull the trigger, and once the bass revived, swims away.
Yeah, so I saw that. That was actually a pretty cool contraption, and you made an unbelievable boat hook for Captain Mike.
Right.
And that 8-foot bamboo, all
Yep.
epoxied. I mean, that thing is absolutely beautiful.
Custom colors, everything. Custom paint jobs, custom paracord wraps, custom colors for whatever you want. You have a logo that you want to put on it or painted on it, not a problem.
So I'll put the links in the description of the video so that you guys could get in touch with Kory for Kory's Kustoms if you guys want anything made, whether, like he said. So he's actually making me a hockey stick, because even now I still play hockey to this day, and I can't think of a better boat gaff to have than one of the $350 hockey sticks that I have that's super light, that he's going to transform into an amazing gaff. But again, we only gaff bluefish.
Right.
So for me, it's not a huge necessity. I have a gaff on the boat, and like I said, I support
The amount of times that people want bluefish is very limited on the North Shore. So it's really only then you decide to gaff the blue.
Right.
Is only if somebody's gonna want to
But guys that are
take
tuna
it.
fishing, guys that are,
Right. So I got a couple people
fishing.
offshore on the
Yeah.
South Shore that have purchased a couple of my things. I've even done a raffle as well, and no complaints at all.
Well,
East End Anglers got a couple of things in mind as well.
We'll have we'll see them at the boat shows this year. We'll see them at the boat shows, guys. We'll see them at the fishing shows. So if you catch up with us there, he'll have some of his gear with him, and you can either check it out, you can buy it right there. We'll definitely have some stuff at the booth so that you can purchase it. And we got a lot of big things happening this winter. So we just shut down the boating season, but we're pretty excited about what we got going on even just now in the next week or so. We're going to start hitting the river. We're going to go fly fishing, and we're going to do some destination trips and head down south and check off some of the fish on our bucket list. And I mean, I can't wait to get in the river.
Oh yeah, man!
And
It's gonna be a blast.
We have a couple days next week where it's gonna be 50 degrees, it's 50 degrees in Florida right now. So even the guys down south are all like, "Wow, it's a little chilly down here." But that's like a 50-degree day.
A 50-degree day in December at the river in New York.
To me, is like.
It doesn't get any better.
No, absolutely. That is the best time, the best weather for me. And in fact, I think it'll be so warm that we might get them on some, dry flies.
Yeah.
Which will be really cool. So not just midges and all the small stuff. I think it'll be cool to get them on dry flies. I love watching anything that blows up on a top water. For me to me that's the best. So,
I'd rather catch one trout on a dry fly than 5 on a midge
bugger.
on a woolly bugger. That's like a last resort for me. I'm not putting on a woolly bugger unless I absolutely have to.
And if you guys have other cool areas that you fly fishing in and you want us to come join you, we'll be happy to do that. We love going to new areas, and we are not only willing to explore, but we are going to explore. So we're always looking for people to collaborate with, especially here on the podcast. Bay Rats and Buoys is getting amazing feedback. And I get emails every day, guys. The responses that I'm getting, and the companies and the people that want to collaborate and work with us and do some cool stuff, it truly is. I'm very grateful. But to our credit, we're going to stay consistent with this. So every week we put a podcast out. So every Thursday you can expect to see a Bay Rats and Buoys podcast, and I don't have to sit on the boat. I mean, This is, to me, we're not even wearing headphones. There's no pop filter. I'm so excited that I can just sit down in the studio with my Diet Coke and record the podcast. There's no production crew. It's a GoPro. We're talking into the mics, and we put it up on the internet. It's that easy. So we're leaving any mistakes in, guys. This is raw, uncut, no editing, and I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
No, not at all. This is as good as it gets.
And the season just came to a close for us, so it's always a sad time of the year to have to wrap up the boat. But, you know, we look back at all the great fishing that we did and the technology that we used and the gear that we used. And those are going to be different episodes where I'm going to show you guys right here on the table all the gear and all the hot things that we used. And we'll go over how we used them and what we caught and what we targeted and why we did that. But every episode, I want to share with you guys something in the boating community that maybe could help you become a better boater. Because remember, I'm a commercial tow captain as well. So I do see a lot of the things in my area that normal boaters don't get to see. And I can help people avoid certain situations by passing on some beneficial, advice. And with that, with no monetary benefit to me, there's not a person out there that I think should be boating without the Navionics app. And I understand. Listen, Joe, he's got a 380 Outrage. Eric, I captain his 380 Outrage. The equipment on those boats, the Vikings it's incredible. The new electronics are absolutely insane. However, not everybody has that equipment on your standard center console that's going out fishing. They have a depth finder. They have the old unit. They have a removable unit. I get it, guys. We use whatever we have. And that's why I'm going to bring up to you why you should and maybe would want to use Navionics. Because I see guys, they knock off their lower unit. They spin the hub. They bang the prop off. They hit rocks. And they went into a rocky area not knowing it was a rocky area, or not knowing that they were that close to the rocks
or not knowing the exact location of that rock.
If you're using Navionics, Navionics shows you the rock is where the rock is. And I got to tell you, I use it to get in between rocks to go get people. And it's awesome to share waypoints. Like if Kory's going to shoot out to Raritan Bay, and I want to shoot my route to him and say, hey, meet me out there. I'm already here, and he's going to leave in a half an hour. I could shoot him my entire route.
It'll tell you how long it'll take you to get there too.
And, you could type in the speed your boat goes, the draft, your fuel consumption, all this stuff. It's going to tell you a lot of information for your trip that you get to see on your phone, and you get to do it while you're sitting in your bed. So it's great that you got all the electronics on your boat. And Garmin had purchased Navionics, so you'll notice the app icon is different.
The icon's different, and the new units should have
typically have a new Garmin unit.
Right, typically have it installed already.
It's going to have it already installed. It's an app built into the Garmin unit. So you can now share between your cell phone and your Garmin unit and be able to use that information. But my point is, you could be sitting in your bed and figuring out where you're going to go and manually set the route.
Yeah, you could check out new spots where you don't know existed that might hold fish, and you want to go out and explore.
Or you want to find ledges. And, we find it all the time where we'll open it up and we put it into 3D mode, and you get to see the contour of that area, and you're like, wow, that's how me and you came across. I can't tell you how many sea bass holes that we've come across where we were like, oh my God.
We thought it was complete. If you look on the map on the actual unit, either be Simrad or the chart, whatever it is, it looks flat. You see numbers, you see a little bit of difference in the depth, but you think it's completely flat.
And that's another perfect.
Whereas in the Navionics system, the Navionics app, it has that option too, but if you switch it over to the 3D mode, it'll actually show you where is a rock, what's a rock, how tall is the rock, and if it's a hole, same way. You'll see that it's a hole, and you'll see that it gets deeper, and you'll see the contour of the floor.
Right, and that's how I came up with Blue Dotville, and I'm going to expose that. The cat's out of the bag. But Blue Dotville is, an area where me and Kory know on a regular basis where we find fish, and we set these up on Navionics and we see it. So it's very easy for us to go back to previous spots and know where we found the bait holding on certain tides and certain winds.
Certain tides, winds, time of the year, what dates we were catching. It shows everything on it.
Now, That's me just telling you to go out and use Navionics. Should you have a VHF radio on your boat? Absolutely. Should you have a pair of binoculars? I used to train some of the Freedom Boat Club members when I worked at Freedom Boat Club. And you take people out and you train them how to use a boat. And you get out into the bay and they look across, to a white can. And I would ask them, what does that white can represent? And they're like, oh, it's a no-wake zone. And I would be like, okay, take a look now. And I hand them the binoculars and they look and, oh, it says danger. And
important also to have a good pair of binoculars.
So it pays to have a good pair of binoculars on your boat, whether you're in a home area that you know well or you're in an area that you don't know, because I can't tell you how much debris we see.
Oh
in the
my
water.
God, logs, this, that.
Yeah, we call them tide
deer.
walkers. Yeah. Well, this year. So one of my
Seals.
epic videos this year, I think I showed you recently. It was like, I think it had like 56 or 50 something thousand views on Facebook, and I mean that's nothing compared to. Let's talk about videos for a second, and some of the abuse I've gotten over the years with, guys. When it comes down to personality, I'm not lacking any department of being a wise ass and being able to break balls. And I made a couple of videos on TikTok that went stupid viral, 800,000 views and 350,000 views. And in one of them, I'm acting, basically like the 3 don'ts to do on a boat, don't show up late. Guys were writing me messages. I would never get on a boat with you, you cocky son of a bitch, and I was cracking up. And the guys, the casting net, I did a cast net tutorial. We leave the dock with fresh bait, live bait, you name it, we leave with it. And
it's not something we don't leave with.
We throw cast nets on a regular basis. So I said, why not somebody had asked me, they saw me throw one in a video that my son just so happened to be recording me on the phone camera, throwing the cast net and loading it up with adult bunker. Like one shot, one and done, boom. And it was a perfect circle. It was a pancake. It was as round as this table. And everybody asked me, wow, you threw that so well. Could you show me? In fact, Kent on Facebook, he reached out to me. He wanted me to come out east and teach him how I threw it. And Kent, me and you still got to hook up. I'm coming tuna fishing with you, and I'll be happy to show you how I throw the cast net. But that video of me doing the tutorial, the comments, I got to make a video, a podcast, just referencing the videos that I've produced, because you brought up the deer.
Yeah.
I've never, in all the years I'm on the water, clamming as a kid and, being on the water in my area for so many years, I've never seen a deer swimming across the bay.
Yeah, I've seen them go from like my house to Vanderbilt. I've seen them that way go just swimming. Not many times, but I've seen it once or twice tops.
I hear about it all the time. We know they came across from Connecticut out on the East End, and that's how they came to Long Island.
That's how they get to Fire Island, too.
They're great swimmers. Their hair is hollow, so they're very buoyant, so they don't...
Hence the name bucktails.
Hence the name bucktails.
Right, that's why I use it for dry flies.
So I saw one coming across by the Coast Guard station. I stopped my boat, and I filmed it for 10 minutes. I filmed this thing swimming, and it got a lot of views online and a ton of comments. So... a lot of the videos that I've made have gotten, garnished a lot of attention. Some of the attention is not always good because people don't like, the people writing the video in the time that it took me to throw the cast net. The fish left the harbor. The comments. I could make a shirt or a book just on the comments, of people telling me, and comments that had nothing to do with the video. Like, I make more money than you that you've made in your entire life in 1 week. And I'm just like, what does that have to do with me throwing the cast net? Anyway, point is, we like to take live bait out with us, whether we're going fluke fishing, whether it's killies, whether it's spearing, whether it's peanut bunker, adult bunker, croakers, you name it. We love throwing the cast net and leaving the dock with live bait. However, we catch just as many fish, if not more, with artificial bait.
I want to say we catch more on artificial.
Now, fluke fishing.
Right.
Gulp.
Gulp
Everybody loves
outfishes bait
gulp.
Every time.
And if the Gulp company ever hears the podcast, I'm just going to tell you that your containers suck, and everybody has to take the cat piss out of the container and put it into a container so we don't have cat piss smell
leaking everywhere.
And I call it that because I went into Rob at High Hook in Huntington. I had a lot of gulp, and it was running out of the juice, cat piss, in the container. So I wanted to go in and buy just a couple of containers to dump them in there so it would fill up with the cat piss, the juice. And he said, oh, you just want to buy the cat piss? They sell that in a container. So that's why I call it cat piss. So we know it stinks. And everybody knows the smell of gulp.
Everybody knows it stinks.
And it's disgusting. But you know.
I know the taste of it, though.
You know how it tastes. Now,
me being the first mate, I got to tie a lot of knots. I got to do a lot of things. So I'm not washing my hands every time I bait something or put something in a hook. And for those of you,
the fire tiger gulp.
Right. And for those of you who tie your own knots, you got to spit on a little bit or lick it in order to lubricate it so the knot cinches down correctly. That being said, after you put a gulp and you tighten a knot, you kind of get that flavor in your mouth from
so you
your
tasted
fingers.
cat piss. And
yes,
what did it taste like?
Funny enough, it tasted sweet. It tastes nothing like it smells.
No.
Not at all.
It stinks, and I hate every
smells,
second of it.
It stains.
I don't want to stick my hand in there to touch it,
Oh,
but I
it's
do.
gross.
Listen, I'm not afraid of anything on
But
the
it
boat.
tastes sweet. It tastes like sugar
I've
water.
gotten bait head. I've had some woof. Being a fisherman, you can't be afraid of anything.
No,
as far
can't.
as touching it, no, yes. But the gulp does stink, guys, and we all hate it. So word out to Gulp Corporation, do something. I know it's flat, so it doesn't spill over. I get it.
Put a better
I see
seal.
why you did it. But, man, it's got to have a bigger and a better.
Some kind of rubber gasket or
you got to figure
something
else out.
Because when that stuff
Nobody's
leaks,
happy. Everybody's always asking, what, on the groups, what do you put your gulp in?
always something that's watertight.
Buckets. Use a 5-gallon bucket. You have enough. You got to put them in. Use a 5-gallon bucket. I get it.
Yeah.
But
then you're losing a 5-gallon bucket.
Guys with center consoles, don't have the room to put 5-gallon buckets everywhere.
I like those Tupperwares that have those little flaps on the sides and the rubber gasket around, so it's nice and watertight.
And God forbid your bucket of cat piss falls over. I'm telling you right now. It's going to stink. And anybody that's got it in their car, and oh my God, it's just got over the back of the truck.
Yeah,
dude,
it's happened to me.
If it's just on your gloves on a rag in the back of the truck, and you
I've had it
close up
spilled on the
truck,
carpet in my truck.
It's absolutely god awful.
Oh, it's terrible. I power washed the thing and it still smelled.
Yeah, no doubt. So, that's gulp, and I wanted to bring it up because, we use bait and use gulp, but I got to say we've done a lot better fishing on artificials, and, like this year, the flutter spoons were popular for the last few years. This year, we stepped into Nomad and started using the Vibes, which are just epic, and I can't wait to show you guys the collection of Vibes.
The Vibes, the Squid Tracks.
They're unbelievable.
Even the poppers, like the Chug Norris, is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I have a great, wait till you see my, my Nomad collection. It's actually pretty extensive. And I love I love it. I love it a lot because it has single hooks.
Yes.
And man, are they sharp.
Those BKK hooks are ridiculous.
You touch those hooks and the thing is stuck to your finger. Just touching it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to even get pushed in. You just touch it. It's
and
I love it.
It'll get hooked onto your fingerprint on the finger.
And the Chug Norris is, that's just, it sounds like when you do it right, and we've practiced it. When you do it right, it sounds like a fish exploding already on the.
It makes bluefish pissed off.
Oh, it pisses everything off. I think it turns fish on.
I think so too.
I think you could show up to an area and just start doing that, and it gets fish.
Yeah.
To,
especially if the fish are feeding. If the fish are being really finicky and not hitting anything or just being weird, I could see how that could be a little aggressive, and you want to go softer and go like 100%. A spook.
No, it's not for everything.
But if the bluefish are feeding on adult bunker,
you can throw this. We can throw this can out there with a couple of hooks on it. The blues will go
if anything is going after bait and they're feeding aggressively, and you throw that in there, it'll draw their attention immediately.
In 2025, I am going to catch a fish with a Diet Coke can. And I'm sure somebody's done it on the internet. There's a lot of things that have been done. But I'm going to do it. I haven't done it. So I'm going to try. I'm going to tie a rig in here and have it. And I'm going to catch
Kory's Kustoms Coca-Cola cans.
Yeah. But Diet Coke.
Diet
I
Coke.
drink Diet Coke. Exactly. So anybody wants a Bay Rats and Buoys sticker, head on over to sandcitycharter.com. We'll be happy to send one out. My kids have been doing it. And guys, the comments and all the different stuff that you guys, I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the love, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate the love. It's awesome. And listen, not everybody's going to give you the love, and I appreciate it. Especially the guys in Boston. Check it out. You guys catch striped bass. You guys go fly fishing. You guys have boats. This podcast, Bay Rats and Buoys, is all over the world. It's in different languages. It's not just in English. So that's what's so cool about the internet and the attention that it's getting. So I don't care when somebody in Boston in a fishing group on Facebook, says, "What are you posting this for?" in a Boston Facebook group, because it's a fishing and boating podcast, and you too could use Navionics in Boston. So it doesn't matter if you drink water or water. You could still use boating and fishing advice no matter where it comes from. I'm sure that's the case. And if it's not, hasta la vista, baby. Anyway, that's the Facebook groups and the Facebook comments. I love it. So I'm always going to talk back, guys. Never going to let it go by the wayside.
No, why not? Oh.
And speaking of pranks and different stuff that happened, we took the boat out of the water on Monday. And Captain Mike went down to his boat with Nick, and they saw our boat was gone. So he just assumed we were fishing because, Friday we were out. Why wouldn't be out Monday? Right. And he went over to the dock, and he shortened up our line 6 inches. He calls me yesterday. He's like, "Did you take your boat out of the water?" He's like, "On Monday?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "So you never came back to the dock?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Well, because we shortened up your lines by 6 inches, so when you got back, you couldn't tie up." And I said, "Oh, that's really nice of you." So amongst us captains, the ball breaking never will amaze me, and it's never going to stop. So there's a lot of ball breaking that goes on. So if you think any ball breaking that goes on in a Facebook group is new to me, it's far from it.
Bother us.
Yeah, absolutely.
We love it.
Bring it on. The more the merrier. And I just wanted to say thank you to all the Facebook admins that do approve the post and share the video. You guys are absolutely awesome, and we greatly appreciate it. But
thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts.
That's it. Head on over to sandcitycharter.com if you guys want to get a free sticker. We'll be happy to get one out to you. This is episode 10. I can't believe episode 10 is in the books, coming to a close. And it's actually great to be in the studio and not have to do it from the boat.
Yeah. A little bit of a different environment. I
looked forward to this time of the year to do it, but I also wanted to prove that I could do it from the boat. You know what I mean? Like, I could do a podcast from the boat. So, which, we could do it from anywhere. So, we're going to come to your boat. We're going to come to you, Jaden, out in Panama City. We're coming, and can't wait to get you on the podcast. Chef Rob is coming in. He's just a couple of weeks away. And every week now, guys, I'm going to try to get different guests in. We're going to be at the boat shows. We're going to be at the fishing shows. So, hopefully you'll come over to us, say hello. We'll have merchandise, we'll have shirts, we'll have hats, and we'll have stickers to give you. And maybe Kory will raffle off and give away one of the gaffs. I know he's making me a hockey stick.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to get that hockey shaft and get a new hockey gaff. That's going to be an awesome gaff for the boat. Looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be awesome.
And check out Kory's Custom, guys. You can check it out at Instagram. I'll have the links in the description below. So check them out if you want anything made, whether it be a gaff, a boat hook, a D-hooker, a bait net, whatever you need.
Tuna spike, whatever it is.
Yeah. I think you could probably even make a flying gaff, right? You could probably make a flying gaff. Yeah, you can't make. And guys, the bamboo is insane. When you get this stuff epoxied and bambooed with the stickers on it, I mean, it's a fat piece of bamboo. It just feels like a real. It feels better than anything you can buy in the store. I got to say that. And I saw some.
Looks better too.
We saw some at the show. And what was the price of those things?
The prices were
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. No epoxy on them.
$400-$500.
Nothing. Yeah. It was just unbelievably.
It was a gaff.
It was what was it, like 3 foot or 4 foot for $400? Ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, I don't think prices should be that much.
Yeah, no, you got to keep it within reason, guys.
Yeah.
Listen, everything on a boat is more expensive. I get it. I do.
But there's reason. My gaffs, for the largest gaffs, for the 8-foot gaffs, I'm selling them for $180 starting price. If you want multiple colors, special paint jobs, it's a little bit extra, but it's nowhere near $400.
Yeah, 100%. So that's Kory's Customs. This is Bay Rats and Buoys. If you guys want to collaborate with us, reach out to me. You know how to get in touch with me at sandcitycharter.com. Don't be afraid to drop me an email or a message. I respond to everybody. I get them daily, so I'm talking to a lot of cool people, and there's a lot of cool things happening. I can't wait to grow the show and to close out the year. We're going to have some really cool guests. I'm really excited. Yeah, super excited about that.
Also, let us know in the comments if you guys want us to raffle off a gaff or raffle something off. Share it with your friends. Let us know.
we're going to give away a few things. So if Kory wants to give you a gaff or give away something and you guys want to hit him up, absolutely hit him up and do that. We're going to be giving away merchandise on the show here throughout the season. So we'll be giving, Avid reels and different stuff. We're just going to have a few cool giveaways thanking listeners, because we really have some cool listeners that have listened to all 10 episodes. And they write to us and they communicate to us. And we really appreciate that. So we're going to take care of you guys. We promise we're going to get that merch out this winter. And come check us out at the boating and fishing shows. Like I said, episode 10 is in the books. We love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Episode 10 is a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Bay Rats and Buoys. Captain Gaige and First Mate Kory, over and out.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Bay Rats and Buoys. Be sure to visit sandcitycharter.com and follow Captain Gaige on all our social media channels.